Levine, and our judge is Charlie Ginsburgh. I think many of you know he's actually a judge both for the N4C, Northern California Council of Camera Clubs, and PSA, Photographic Society of America, and has participated in photographic competitions throughout Chicago and the San Francisco Bay Area, and internationally for PSA. He's been a speaker at the last three N4C photoclave conferences and has provided programs for local camera clubs on action photography, macro photography, compositing, and Photoshop editing. Charlie is an M4C fellow and is currently the president of the Peninsula Camera Club in San Mateo. So,
All right.
with
Can
that,
everybody hear me okay?
Yeah,
yes,
Good. Okay. Just want to make sure my mic was working here.
loud and clear.
All right. So I don't have anything to add. I hope that we'll have time at the very end. Well, you guys will have a chance to ask me questions. Sometimes that's the most fun part of the evening, but I'm looking forward to commenting on your images.
great, same here.
Critique feedback, all levels, one image.
Are you going to read the titles on all these?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see it on my screen here. Let me see. Let's see the screen for some reason here because I'm on my laptop. Okay, Serenity.
All right. So in this image, there's a couple of really marked points to this image. First is the use of empty space, and I think the having this much empty space in this image is a plus. It works towards the type of feeling you're getting. And the title tells me that serenity is the real key theme here, and so all that empty space with only the reflection of the clouds is very effective. And so I like that. I think that the subjects are as sharp or as exposed as much as they need to be. The fact that we don't see a lot of detail is not really relevant in this case because they're rather small in the image, and that's fine. But the only suggestion I might make is I don't know if a centered location is the best for those. I probably would have cropped a little bit off from the left-hand side a bit because you have that small area of interest here. And so keeping that a little bit away from a centered location might work just a little bit better in this case. Thank you.
Bill, cursor on screen.
Thank you.
Framed, basic, 2 images. Carlsbad,
Okay.
California sunset.
Yeah. So here the makers use the trees and the apartments or the buildings on either side as the framing element, all presented in a very nice silhouette. And so that's very effective. And that sort of centers our whole view of that wonderful sunset. So I think all that works very effectively. There is sort of a horizontal feel to this image. I'm sorry, a vertical feel to this image. And yet you still want your viewer to go in focus into the middle. So here, I might consider adding a vignette on this image as well. Obviously, the vignette's not going to impact the edges very much, but the top and bottom area, it might de-emphasize a little bit, just a little bit, and therefore give us a little bit more focus in the middle. Aside from that, though, wonderful color, great focus, and well seen. Thank you.
Framed and bearded.
Okay. Here, the framing elements are a little more subtle in terms of they aren't anywhere as dark or forbidding as the last shot, but still the elements are here, and we have that goat in the middle, and then either the shadows and the on the either side, and then the structure right above it as well. You might even come down a little bit from the top to really emphasize the framing element even a little bit more. But aside from that, I just think there's no problem with getting us focused on the subject and looking at it. The image itself is well done. The exposure is nice. Nothing's overexposed. and it's telling a nice story. Thank you.
Framed. Advanced 11 images. A stone archway frames a spring garden of tulips and flowering tree at the Cloisters Medieval Monastery in Upper Manhattan, New York.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So again, using the archway and the columns as framing elements to then introduce us to the scene. I like your positioning though, in that in looking through that framing element, we have an interesting composition of the tree instead of instead of moving over to your right and trying to center the tree, you have it a little bit over to the left as well. So the centering of the interesting elements relative to the frame, I think, is really well done. I would wonder if you can't add a little bit more space on the outside. I suspect there's a little bit more of those columns we might see, which might make it feel a little bit less constrained, yet still give you those framing elements. Something to think about. Thank you.
This one, a view into the old barber's window and barbershop, a fortuitous after-hours walk-by iPhone grab shot, surprisingly in Bangkok.
Okay, so here we have a series of subjects, each in a square rectangular motif, and it seems like that middle figure tends to have some sort of color bound around it. I don't know if I get a real feeling of framing here. Yes, you have rectangular elements. Yes, some of those elements have a pinstripe or some sort of border around it. But the concept of framing using outside elements or different elements to highlight a main element isn't as strong here. It's there to some extent, but not as strong as it could be. Again, here, I don't know if you need anywhere as much of the information at the top there. Uh, you know, I probably would have played with the idea of trying to make this image a little bit more square using some sort of perspective type of change, and then maybe getting rid of that upper band at the top and to try to get a little bit more focus on the main element. Thank you.
Frames within frames.
Yeah, so here, here we have definitely the motif of multiple of the scene contained as a mosaic within multiple framed little images here. And I think this fits the concept of this division quite well. It's fun to look at all the different. These are, you wonder if those are flat type of windows, but if so, then why do we get such changes in the within each square of different distortion? And that's what sort of makes this element interesting. So it's very clear what it is. We get the idea of frames within frames, giving us a mosaic, and yet the mosaic itself has a lot of interest itself. Nice job. Thank you.
The face behind the face. Lunar New Year lion, Thailand.
Yeah. So here, having that costume becoming the framing element, looking at the person within is a lot of fun here. And so I like that. I like the exposure of the face in the middle there. We get enough of the detail of the outside to get a feeling for that, the type of character it is. And those are fun things. In this division, because framing is important, I wonder if giving a bit more of the costuming around it might add to the concept of framing. I don't know on this one. That might be worth something to look about. See if you feel like the concept of framing comes out better if you include a little bit more of the green character versus what you have here. It may or may not. Just a thought that occurred to me as I was reviewing this image. Thank you.
Visitor at the Guggenheim.
Yeah, so this is sort of interesting in that the frame itself of that art behind it is the main subject, and then you have someone happen to be walk by. And that's a different take to this division. And I think that's sort of fun, a little bit more imaginative. It's simple in terms of the structure here. I like the idea that the character A is not touching in the front there, so we have a sense of motion. And I like the fact that appears to be not looking at the photographer, not looking straight away, but perhaps looking at the artwork as he meanders by. And that's sort of an interesting connection with this image as well. Thank you.
Visiting hours at Alcatraz.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, there are a couple of very overt framing elements here in terms of the window frames, but then there's the different panes, the different degrees of layering going on here. And, you know, almost every layer, there's something of interest within that layer, and then there's something again behind that, all the way down to where you get all the little frames with the bright sky behind it in the background. Just a great image here. A lot of interesting texture. It's as clear as it needs to be. There's not a lot of overlap where some of the critical people, like a couple of faces we see, are obscured, and yet we're still left to sort of enjoy the multiple layers of framing. About the only thing I might wonder is if you crop in a little bit from the left until to get rid of some of that bright spot on the left-hand side, you could probably crop in to the right on the edge of that window frame, and maybe that might aid a little bit of the busyness within the image, but that's a minor point. Thank you.
Frame sunsets.
Yeah, so fun. You know, I'm looking at this, and I tell you, initially when this popped up, I wasn't looking at the sunset at all. I was looking at all the repetitive elements, the different geometric shapes, the architectural features of this, and there's a lot of interesting pieces there. But then you have also the reflections in all the different windows that are showing the sunset and the sky and some of the surrounds as well. So I think all those things work really well here. Really nice, interesting elements here. I might have considered adding just a little bit of micro contrast more, especially to the middle area there, to see if I can't get just a bit more of that detail. And I might consider darkening the right side a little bit, because that's a really bright area, and you don't want us to be pulled off to that right side. So taking that area that has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 little boxes on the right side and darkening that a little bit may allow the sunset to come out a little bit stronger because it's next to a darker element, and for our viewer not to get pulled off to the side within the image. Nice view though, well seen and well captured. Thank you.
View of the Galleria Umberto, Naples, Italy.
Yeah, this is a lot of interesting things here. You have architectural features becoming a framing element, and that's interesting. The architectural features that are the framing elements don't look rather modern. So you have sort of a juxtaposition of the modern versus the old, which was showing as well. So I think all those are very interesting features. The framing element, though, does tend to blend in with the subject. So in this case, I would have taken all that architectural features that you're using as a framing element and darkened it a little bit more, which will allow what you see through the frame, which is your main subject, to show up. Also, you do have an awful lot of haloing on that blue sky, and I think that's something you can easily correct as well. It adds an element that I don't think is needed, and to my way of looking at it, appears a bit distracting. Thank you.
A view of a castle on Vancouver Island, BC, Canada.
Yeah, good. Again, nice use of architectural features act as your framing elements. They're consistent with the material within the frame. The composition within the frame is well done as well. I love that tree with the flowers in there. And I love the fact that we can see the buildings behind there with quite enough detail. The sky's a bit on the bright side, but that's far enough away, and that tends to pull me into the image. So that's okay. Some of the suggestions I might think about here is it's really that idyllic scene seen through the architectural features that is the subject here. So those bright people we see there in the red and the blue and the whites there, I might consider getting rid of all those people. I don't think they add anything to this image. And I think it's idyllic type of scene that that you're looking through the framing elements to see, which is the real story. Another thing you might consider is adding a little bit more detail to that sky as well. There's a lot of detail there. You can bring that tone down just a little bit and maybe give a little more balance there. But I really like the scene you have and how you're giving me this portal to view it. Thank you.
Surrounded.
Yeah, so when you first look at this image, the idea of framing doesn't immediately come out. But then as you look at the dog and you realize that all the different legs and people around it become the framing element, then it becomes sort of fun. That and those two little cones as well. Okay, and so I think that works out nice. Again, I would wonder if some of the brightness around the outside is necessarily needed. You really want that dog to show up relative to everything. So by de-emphasizing some of the brightness around, especially in the tile on the floor and maybe those cones, if you bring that down, your dog's going to come out and the concept of framing is going to be even more pronounced. Thank you.
How many frames in this picture do you count? Choose your own definition of what's framed or not.
Yeah. So a lot of interesting things here. I'll let you decide which elements you consider. I see at least 3, maybe 4 or 5 different elements that might be considered frames. But it's interesting that the maker's inviting the viewer to come to their own conclusions. And so sort of interesting. This isn't as much in your face type of framing as some of the other images we've seen, but I still think that it meets the definition of the division and is an imaginative use. I do find that the bright orange lit area is rather bright, and I would probably again add a little bit of micro contrast to see if I can't enhance some of this texture within that wall. I think there is a lot of texture there, and you can bring that out without disrupting the vision as you think it portrayed here. Thank you.
Nature, basic and intermediate, 2 images. Double rainbow during a morning shower. The dark band is caused by reflection and refraction of light by the raindrops between the rainbows. This was originally described by Alexander around 200 AD.
Okay, we often don't see a lot of weather phenomena as being part of nature, but it's appropriate for the category. In this case, not only is the feature really nicely shown as the main rainbow, but that secondary one as well, but the whole image has a lot of interest as well. And your caption is giving me a reason why, what attributes of this feature that we're looking at may be unusual, maybe unique to this event, and therefore is appropriate for this nature division. Nicely done. I sort of like, it's a nice centered vision, but the whole story is about the rainbow, the primary and secondary, and the area between there. So all that's nicely shown. Thank you.
Plain zebra, Equus quagga. By rolling in the dirt, zebras create a protective layer that helps deter insects, remove parasites, and maintain a healthy skin.
Okay.
Game Reserve, South Africa.
All right, good. Again, very appropriate for nature. You describe your image captures the behavior, and your caption is identifying that behavior so the viewer understands why you took that image and what you're saying about it. In this case, you've got peak of action with all the dust in the ground, dust in the air, yet still your subject is sharp enough that we can understand it. I don't know if I would suggest any differences here. I just think you really captured the behavior and are presenting us in a very effective way. Thank you.
Nature Masters, 4 images. A male acorn woodpecker feeds a hungry juvenile in its nest. Acorn woodpeckers might stay with their family for up to 2 years, helping to raise their siblings.
Yeah, fun. You're giving me in your caption, you're giving me some information I didn't know, and that is that the siblings hang around and help raising things for quite a period of time. I'm not sure if that's what's being shown in the image. You have a male acorn is feeding a young. Is this a father? Is this a sibling that stayed around? So the connection of your caption to what I view in the image isn't as strong in this case. A lot of the main story here is about the little one and the main woodpecker feeding it. So you might consider cropping insignificantly to try to make that young little guy a little bit stronger in the image. I think that's your main story. It's nice to see the bark and all the interesting elements that he's in, but the story is about the interaction between the male and the young one as I read your caption. And so you might consider cropping in quite a bit to get more of that chick to be a larger proportion of the image. Thank you.
A serval cat on the hunt. These cats hunt small mammals by using their large ears to listen for prey moving beneath the grass. Then they pounce on the target and pin it beneath their paws to eat. Kenya.
Okay, yeah. Great. I would like to say this is peak of action, and it really is peak of action where the action is a stalking behavior. And so you've captured that very nicely. The behavior is there, your caption identifies the behavior, and the image portrays it very nicely. The wonderful lighting on this as well. I like the rim light around the head of the cat, and I like sort of the bright highlights we see of the light on some of the grass area around that, in front, behind, and to the side of the cat. All that's very natural looking, and so it all gives me a feeling of the kind of lighting it's in, and it sort of makes the rim lighting we see that much more appropriate. Very nicely done, as clear as it needs to be, and a nice story. Thank you.
Female lion drags the carcass of an endangered oryx after eating a part of it herself. The rest will be for her cubs. Samburu, Kenya.
Okay, and so again, this feeding behavior, quite common in nature to show these kind of behaviors. There's enough graphic detail to understand the story, and so you still get a feeling of the size of her catch relative to the lioness itself and the effort it's going to take to drag it around. I did think it was interesting that the female actually ate some first before she actually brought it to her pride, so that way she doesn't need to compete with the other pride members to get fed. She gets her reward right away. I think that's an interesting piece to this puzzle as well. Thank you.
Not weapons. Marine iguanas use claws like grappling hooks to hold on tight. Sally Lightfoots use sharp leg tips like crampons for sure footing. Galapagos.
Okay, so this is an interesting image, and you've got two very different creatures, and you're trying to draw the similarities in how the claws on their legs serve a purpose other than aggression. And so I think that's a very interesting approach here. I think it would help if you said the crab Sally Lightfoot uses sharp leg tips. I used to say Sally Lightfoot's, and I'm not sure what a Sally Lightfoot is. And so is that another type of iguana, or is that, I'm assuming it's the part of the crab, but I just found in your caption, you were assuming that I would understand that the crab is called Sally Lightfoot and therefore made the connection. And that's an assumption that I don't think is necessarily clear. The image itself is nicely done. The iguana and the crab are both very clear. They're nice relative sizes each other. And I like your depth of field as well. You might consider just darkening slightly the rock that they're sitting on, but that's a really minor point. Thank you.
Pictorial, basic and intermediate, 6 images. Blue hour, golden reflection.
Yeah, great. What great image here. You picked the right time to shoot this, using the reflections in the wash of the water is effectively done there. And I love the color, the blue hour colors. I think you've really shown those things. I do find, though, that you could crop in your story is less about the beach around it, more about the bridge and the reflections. So I think you could crop in significantly, both on all edges, to bring that bridge out a little bit more and not lose the idea of the environment it's in or how the blue hour affects that view. As it is now, it looks a little soft, a little small. Your subject is a bit small relative to the whole frame, and I'm sort of losing a little of the balance. I just feel like there's a lot more stuff there that doesn't need to be there to still tell your story. Thank you.
Oh, screen is screwing again. Front row to forever.
Okay, great image there. I love the sky. I love the detail there. I love the reflection of the color on the water. You have a couple of wave series that are just breaking, and then a couple swells between there. The beach looks interesting. A lot of good stuff here. It's almost overwhelming, though, in terms of the amount of stuff there. Here, I might suggest cropping down from the top just a little bit. Maybe of all that sky that's present there, maybe take out 20% coming down from the top, and darkening the sky a little bit might give you a little bit more balance. It might bring out some of the bright elements of the sunset within this image and still allow us to really enjoy the whole scene. As it is now, with the lighter sky and so much of it, it almost overwhelms the image. And you've done such a good job at separating those chairs within the sand, giving me wonderful water. And now I think the classic statement of less is more might come in there. So try cropping down and darkening that sky scene just a little bit and see if you don't feel like you get a better balanced image that is easier to take in as a viewer. Give it a try and see what you think. Thank you.
U.S. Airways Airbus A320, Denver.
Yeah, so here we have an artistic piece of some sort. There's been a treatment applied to this image that gives us this, what I believe the term is posterization around the clouds all around there. And so as in seeing that, I get a definite idea that there's an artistic view you want me to see here. So knowing that and seeing that effect, I'm less concerned about what I don't see in the silhouettes, because this is obviously an artist's interpretation of the scene. So I'll leave it at that. I do appreciate the effort you put in, the kind of posterization you did. It's not my most favorite thing, but it's not my image. So I'm enjoying some of that there, and I'm enjoying how in doing so and not hiding it, you're letting the viewer know that this isn't meant to be realistic, but more of an artistic interpretation. And that works. Thank you.
Ethereal flow at dusk, Point Reyes National Seashore.
Okay, good. Great job at capturing the motion of the falls there. Longer exposure to give us that flow. Still have a good sense of energy, yet there's still a lot of detail within the water I can make out as well. So I'm enjoying those things. I do get a feeling, though, that the water and the foam is just really bright relative to everything around there. And it almost tries to steal the show. And I don't think that need to be the case here. In this case, I would probably bring out a little bit more detail in the shadow and those bushes and some of the shadowed areas to give a little bit more balance to it. And in doing so, I think that balances the image a little bit, but doesn't deter from the flow of the water and that issue. Also, when I was looking at this, I thought that blue was a little bit overdone. Whether or not that's actually what the color was, I would be tempted just to reduce the saturation on some of that blue a little bit to see if I can't get it to be a little bit more realistic to what or in line with my expectations or what the scene might be. Those last 2 points are a bit minor though, and it's a great shot. Thank you.
Iridescent Anna's Hummingbird.
Yeah. Nice job. Your subject is nice and sharp. The composition is excellent. The background has information, but isn't competing with the subject. So these are all really good things. Um, I don't know if I would change much. I guess the one thing I would want to do is that background is sort of muted, which is not a bad thing. Both it's muted in terms of your color saturation and a darkness, but I think the bird seems a little bit muted as well. I would have highlighted, selected the bird, and just brought up the lightness on that just a little bit more to make it pop just a little bit more from the muted background. This would sort of bring out the bird even more so than what you've done. You got a wonderful capture of it, so let's just show the bird off. Thank you.
Dendritic drainage patterns in Cretaceous shales, Utah.
Yeah, fun. Interesting image. One might consider this as being a drone shot or a shot taken, from a long ways away. But if you don't know what Cretaceous shales are or what a dendritic is, then you might consider this to be a macro shot where we're looking at veins in something as well. Again, this describing, assuming I know what dendritic drainage patterns means, is an assumption on your part, and therefore I'm sort of left to wonder. And there's very little here to give me a sense of scale. So interesting pattern. I think just with a little bit of change in the title there, it can be even stronger. I'll know immediately I'm looking at this from a long distance away, and that this is this is a geologic feature that's very interesting. You captured the feature, great. I love the colors. I love the sharpness of that. I don't even mind that, it goes, your exposure goes from a little bit darker on the upper left to a lighter on the lower right. So my eye just follows right through on the different patterns, and I think that's very effective. So you did a lot of good things here. I just got that caption just had me a little bit confused, and that's the only thing I noticed. Thank you.
Pictorial advance, 2 images. Ripples.
Yeah. So you've done a nice job of giving these reflections in a not so serene type of liquid or water base, and I think that's great. You didn't need to show me what these were reflections of. I'm just left to enjoy the different shapes, the colors. Now, I suspect I know this is some sort of natural feature that's being reflected there. So I don't find myself considering this totally an abstract. But since I can't make out a lot of detail, I'm left to enjoy some of the aspect qualities that we might see. So a lot of fun stuff there, a lot of different shapes there. I think your exposure is done nicely and just well seen. Thank you.
Milky Way over the lighthouse, Acadia National Park, Maine.
Yeah, great Milky Way shot. These are not easy to do. They're very difficult to see as you're taking the shot, and they do take some processing to bring it out. And so I think that's great. In this case, I love the Milky Way, and I don't, the angle is fine. I do find the horizon line bothers me a little bit. It looks like it's tilting down to the lower left-hand corner, where I'm looking at the horizon line of the water, not of the land. And that just bothers me a little. And, if you tilt it up a little bit so that horizon line is shorter, I think it will make it easier for us to really get into this image and see the Milky Way and enjoy that. I try to look at this image, enjoy the subtlety of the Milky Way and the colors and the different structures you have there. The nice job in capturing the stars, very sharp. But then I keep going back to that little bit of tilt, and it just adds a bit of angst to me that I don't think is needed here. Thank you.
Pictorial Masters, 9 images. Bubbles.
Yeah, so slice of life type of image here. And so you have the kid with that little wonderful gleam in the eye, the smile we see through the bubbles, and just the enjoyment there. I love the different layers within the image, the bubbles being in front, the child with the clothing and a different sticker or whatever she has on her, and then the background as well. And I don't find anything is distracting from anything else. Just a wonderful slice of life. Very nicely executed. Thank you.
Stunning harbor seal gets extra points for style.
Yeah, good. And this is appropriate for pictorial, because there are other ways of describing that behavior that we're seeing in terms of the tail being up and the flipper being out. There's a very specific reason that seal is doing that. But you didn't go into that here, and so which is fine. So I like that. I think this is really appropriate for pictorial. The scene is nice. The composition works out well. Very little is overexposed. That reflections on the body is a little bit overexposed. That might be something you might trying to tamp down just a little bit, but it's not overly bad and it doesn't bother me too much because I don't find it surprising some of them there. That kind of correction though is not trivial because you just can't use a slider of one type of tool or another to bring it down because there's no information in that overexposed image for your applications to work on. And so if you did want to bring those down, I might consider cloning some of the skin in the nearby area and fur over that onto its own layer and then reducing the opacity. So I'm adding back a little bit of structure that we've just missed in that. And these are things you can do in pictorial. Thank you.
Shadows and light, ominous power, ancient beauty.
Yeah, great. Wonderful crocodile shot. Last night I was doing some judging for a group in Louisiana. They had a similar shot where you had a crocodile on the land and his mouth was right open and you had a very similar view, except for the eyes blended into the body behind it. And that I didn't necessarily like. Yeah, that's not the case here. Those eyes are very clear, and I like how they're so much lighter than the area behind that. And that's critical because in an image like this, you're really going to focus in on the eyes, whether you mean to or not. And here, they aren't lost in the body behind it. It makes the face and the eyes very apparent, and therefore the mood of the image is set. Nice decisions there. Good job. Nice angle. Thank you.
Behind the green curtain.
Yeah, I love this. In this kind of environment, it's okay. It can be so chaotic. So trying to get something that's clearly defined and easy to look at is very difficult. But you really succeeded here. I love the texture of the bark in the foreground. I love the branches that are behind that, and then the curtain of green and brown branches behind that, and then seeing something coming through behind that again. So I get a sense of depth. Each of these elements I just described are separated sufficiently that I can see them and I don't feel like it's overly chaotic. And so I just love that type of scene. This just now allows me to sit back and enjoy the texture, enjoy the feeling of the moss, the bark, the way the light is hitting the branches. These are all things that evidently attracted you and I think are shown very nicely in the image. And so you did a lot of good, subtle things right here to let that story come out. I sort of play with the idea of maybe darkening a little bit on the bottom where in that leafy area on that branch to see if I can't reduce some of the brightness just slightly to pull me in a little bit, but that's a minor point. I think you got a lot of interesting texture and dimension within the image. Thank you.
Portrait of a weaver bird.
Yeah, fun. Again, I'm glad to see this image in pictorial. And the reason why is in this image here, this isn't really the natural coloration of this bird. And yet this is the bird reflecting that the golden hour, that time of day, the light happened to hit that. And I think that's gorgeous. So although it's not 100% factual representation of the bird, it's a wonderfully artistic version of it. of how the bird is interacting with the light. And I think that's just as valuable. So I'm enjoying that immensely. Composition is done very nicely. The branch coming out there, he's looking towards the empty area. There's empty area for him to go through. He's as sharp as it needs to be. And you're just left to enjoy the color. You can almost feel the warmth of the time of day as reflected by the bird. And if you got me thinking about that and sort of feeling that, you've done a wonderful job. Thank you.
Layers upon layers. View of Mount Diablo, Lodi, California.
Yeah, good. You really highlighted one of the major attributes of those, the different layers we see there. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 different layers I can identify within the image. And so I'm enjoying that. I love the reflection of the sky into the water there, and yet you still have a little foreground here that doesn't have that. I think that works out nicely. Mount Diablo is nicely shown there. I don't know if you need as much of the sky. I probably would have cropped down a little bit, and I may have actually considered darkening the cloud bank on the very top a little bit more. I sort of want to get a darker barrier up there, which will then refrain me from going up further, and now I'll go down to the layers of the cloud, the middle cloud bank with the interesting sky beyond that. That you might consider doing here to balance the image and get the viewer maybe to focus a little bit more into the central theme of the image. Thank you.
The exquisite art of painting a face. Bodega Bay Fisherman's Festival.
Yeah, okay, good. Great view. I love the face and this holding still, that hand sort of holding her chin still. I think is wonderful. And then the other hand with the brush in there. You have two wonderful framing elements. And they really frame the face, giving me a feeling what's going on. The detail in the hand is as sharp as it needs to be. I love that as well. But then one of the only suggestions I'm going to consider is that area behind her, behind the hands, behind her face there, is a little bit busy and is distracting a little bit from the face and the action going on. There, I might blur, desaturate, or maybe darken those areas a little bit more, which will make your face and those hands really come forward better. And I think are more with a lot more intention. And I think that will really bring forth your story, if you pardon the pun. Thank you.
Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, celebrate.
Yeah. Now this is a fun image in several different ways. You have the face painting there, and you have the regalia of the performer there, and she's holding up some sort of I guess that's probably something that has a lamp on the end of it, and I think that's wonderful. But what I do really like here is that you left the face and the face painting still a little bit on the dark side, which is so appropriate for this subject, the Dia de los Muertos. So you didn't overdo the exposure on the face, leaving it a little on the darker side. And so I sort of like that. Yet you still have some very bright highlights, which separates it from the background. So these are a lot of subtleties in terms of things that really bring forth and emphasize some of the elements which are the basis of the capture. So nice job. Should you actually darken that background a little bit? In this case, I don't know. That's a maker's choice. Because that face is a little on the dark side, I sort of like the balance we have here. But that's a choice for the maker to make in this case. Thank you.
Look who I found in the basement.
Yeah, okay. So you're at some sort of event where you had some models in period costumes there, and they were posing, and that's fine. And you get interesting. You've done a nice job at lighting some of the interesting folds and in the costuming itself. They're set against a very interesting background with some interesting texture. The face looks a little bright to me in that I really have to, I find myself wanting to see a little bit more detail or a little bit more shape on that face. And so, to my way of thinking, it's a little bit on the bright side here, and therefore it looks a little flat. Also, the area of the background behind her right hand, she's holding on to that ladder. I would have probably darkened that a little bit because that seems to be competing with the leg being held up and the hands there in terms of the costuming. I think you could bring that down a little bit, not lose the texture, which I think you've done such a nice job of getting there, and just do a little bit more balance on the light in the face to maybe give it a little bit more shape. And I think you're well on the way of having a really interesting image. Thank you.
Travel, basic and intermediate, 2 images. Kiyomizu Dera Temple, Kyoto.
Yeah. Okay, so a very typical type of architectural shot here, probably done with a wide angle lens, which is now giving all sorts of geometric types of things done to this image. Almost to the extent that it's in your face. It almost doesn't look natural. And so here I probably would have tried hard to do some perspective changes, which you can do in Photoshop and Lightroom, to get rid of some of the bowing, to de-emphasize a little bit some of the wide angle shot, to give me a little bit more natural view, which is what we're looking for in travel. As an artistic piece and pictorial, I wouldn't be making these suggestions because this was obviously an artistic view that might be appropriate for pictorial. But in travel, you're almost getting beyond reality in the choice of lens and how you presented that. And I think that's degrading a little bit the concept of where travel's trying to go. Thank you.
Ice cave along the fringe of the Britamergkolja Glacier, southern Iceland.
Yes, yeah, great. Wonderful. A lot of good choices here. I love the layered approach we have between the foreground, the midground, the background, and then the scene behind that there. Wonderful detail on the coloration of the ice roof that we're seeing there. And still you kept some of the foreground dark enough that the idea of being in a cave looking out is coming across very effectively. So you're really giving me a good feeling for the scene and what it might look like if I were there. The people in the background give us a little bit of sense of scale. So they do a nice job of giving us that and the idea that, this is accessible to people, which is why it's in travel. And I think that's all very effective. So nice job. No real suggestions or improvements. I think you made a lot of good, very subtle decisions here that make this image work. Thank you.
Travel, advance, 3 images. Amsterdam is known as the Venice of the North because of its many canals. The original dam or dike was built on the Amstel River to control the flooding that plagued this low-lying land.
Okay, so your caption is telling me that you're showing me aspects of Amsterdam, the canals, the bridges, the reason why these things are there. Yet a good 30% of the image is pure sky. And I don't think as a travel image, in this case, that's needed. Crop down such that I'm focusing more on the Amsterdam, the architecture, the boats, the canal. That's what your story is about. That's what your travel is trying to communicate. And you really don't need all that sky. Now, maybe you like the sky, but does it further your story in the travel division? I question that, and I wonder if you need it quite as much here. Thank you.
Men used 12th century techniques to tan and dye animal hides in stone vessels in Fez, Morocco.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have the picture of all these ancient vats that are all in the stonework there. Person behind walking through it gives you a sense that A, it's accessible to people, and B, the scale is there. All that works out nicely. What is missing a little bit is the idea of these are dyeing and tanning type of vats. And if you could have captured some of these that had different colors, which often is the case, that would bring that story even more so to the forefront. In this case here, I have to know something about this area to know whether you really were trying what you were trying to show here. You got these vents, but where's the tanning happening? And it's not really clear from the story. So something to think about when you try to capture this kind of environment. Thank you.
Interior Galleria Umberto, Naples, Italy.
Yeah. Uh, Great architectural shot. You know, you're telling me where it is, and that's great. I love the straight looking up there because you're really focusing on the interesting roof structure. And so, if you could include a little bit more in your caption about the significance of the roof structure, I think that would further this shot because it's obvious from the shot that's your main point. Not just, oh, look at this as you look up, but these are significant. These are what makes this place important. Your image tries to tell me that, but your caption is a little bit lacking in that kind of information. And I think it would round out the whole image as a travel shot even more so if one were to include that kind of information. Thank you.
Travel Masters, 5 images. Next to an ovu, a shamanic cairn honoring spirits of the land, a boy from a nearby gear camp watches a lone car approach. Gobi Desert, Mongolia.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful image. A lot of really great things. You have some cultural artifacts there. You have the juxtaposition of the new versus perhaps the older, with the bike versus the bike and the child versus the older type of memorial that they've set up there. The fact that the child is looking into the future, looking off into the distance, and there's that car there is a wonderful story. And then the fact that you tell me this is the Gobi Desert, I'm in a desert, which explains then the vast area I'm seeing there. A lot of wonderful elements here that really give me a good sense of place and tell and start to communicate so much more than just what was in the caption about this area. And if you find yourself seeing that kind of things in an image, you've done a really good job in the travel division. Thank you.
On the Edge, Host Bruce Bay, New Zealand.
Okay. Somewhat of a generic shot. We might see this kind of shot on the west coast of the United States as well, or not too far from the area we live in right here. But it is a gorgeous area. Gives me a feeling of what this area looks like as well. And you've got some interesting elements. I love the tree lines. I love the detail in the water. I like the reflections. Nothing's overgrown. So Pictorial, it does a nice job. And it does give me a sense of what this might be if I were to go there. I did find though that I was wondering if I was looking at Half Moon Bay or something as well, because we have very similar type of thing here in this area as well. But I am enjoying what you're looking at. You are giving me a feeling of a sense, a place. Thank you.
Puna Pancake Rocks. This iconic spot is located along New Zealand's west coast. The limestone rocks are stacked like a mountain of pancakes.
All right, so
National Park. Sorry.
okay, good. If you hadn't shown me all those pancake rocks, this would again be somewhat of a generic shot of a wonderful, gorgeous landscape. But in giving me those pancake rocks in the foreground tells me that there's something extraordinary about this place and why I thought it was important enough for me to show you those. And so I like that. And I think that's an important decision to keep in there. And to my mind, that's what makes the shot. In this case, again, I might crop down from the top. I don't think you need as much, especially I think you can crop down to getting rid of all that blue sky. And because you want to emphasize the rock formations and the geography that is in this travel shot. So showing me quite as much sky, you crop down from the sky and you're still going to give me a feeling of the atmospheric effects of the wonderful clouds and the weather without giving me quite as much sky, and it'll shift the balance ever so slightly. Thank you.
Entering cloisters is like visiting medieval Europe. Combination of 5 French monasteries were relocated in Upper Manhattan to display Gothic and Romanesque art. New York.
Okay, so we have this tenured, well maintained garden here with a wonderful path, some trees, some blooming trees there, cloistered areas. You just give me a feeling of this place and what it might look like. And so, I don't see anything terribly extraordinary about this, but I do get a sense of peace of what this place might be. And I think that's as important a factor to communicate having been there. Thank you.
A family enjoys Henry Cowell Redwood State Park near Santa Cruz, California.
Okay, well, this is an interesting shot in that it's less about travel and more about these family having fun with these big trees. I'm not going to say it doesn't entirely belong in travel, but you really aren't giving you're not describing the critical attributes of this environment that make it interesting, and that's the big trees. If your captions had mentioned the size of the trees instead of, oh, look what the cutesy thing the family is doing, I think your travel story would have been stronger. As it is, I mean, it's still okay for travel, but I don't get as much of a feeling as to the importance here because I'm sort of lost into the cutesy activity of the family. And I think in this division that lessens the impact here. Thank you.
Okay, we've covered all of the images.
Really
I think
nice.
Steve is here to take us through the winners.
Framed. Basic 2 images. Second place. Helen.
Aw.
Clever.
Yes.
Helen loves goats, I think.
I'm just an animal lover. I
And
can't
we've
help.
seen a lot of goats, I think, for you.
M key.
Nice.
What a horse.
I like how the beard is blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very friendly goat. When I go to take care of him, he won't leave me alone.
Too
Yeah.
friendly.
Something I just noticed, Helen, is that the look that he's giving with a goatee and all kind of reminds me of how you capture the cowboys.
Ah,
Kind of with a glint.
yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Yes.
Congratulations. First
Thank
place.
you.
Oh,
Stephen.
He's not here, but he should be really happy.
Yeah, that's a great sky.
I had the
Beautiful.
hardest figuring this one out.
Yeah.
It's a great image. Very nice.
Yeah, it really is. It's like,
It's
Mhm.
dynamic.
Like
what
to
am I
be there.
looking at? How come it's all like this? And then I could make out the trees and then the buildings, but it took me a while. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Stephen. Framed advanced. 5 images.
Ah.
Honorable mention, Trisha.
Very cool
This was
image.
part of a school project I did called Looking Up. And I went through the images and found this one. I thought, yeah, that's framed.
Yep.
Thanks.
It's very cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Congratulations. Honorable mention, Jennifer.
Mm.
Oh, Jennifer's gone.
Don't think she's
I
here
thought she was
tonight.
here. No?
Oh,
Hmm.
Congratulations to Jennifer. Third place, Ronnie.
yeah, that's
Mm.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well seen.
Yeah.
Well, it's like got an Orton effect on it, I think.
hmm I like the suggestion of darkening that right side a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Congratulations to Ronnie. Second place, Nancy.
Yeah, I thought that looked like a
Oh,
Nancy
yeah.
shot.
Raise your hand if you didn't know.
Yeah, I had a lot of them to choose from, and I had a lot of them where it showed the whole thing. I lost the concept in it. I like the idea that you discover
Close.
the eyes and that of the lion. So I understand because I had the same question myself. So thank you for honoring it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a pure maker's choice. I do appreciate where you're going with this, though.
Congratulations. First place, Cindy.
Yeah,
Nice, Cindy.
that's really cool.
Very clever.
I said to myself, I wish I'd taken this one.
Oh.
Reminds me of Mare Island.
Mhm.
Thank you. I agree with your critique. It's funny, Charlie, when you see them, when you're away from it, you can immediately see what you did wrong. So, yeah. But yeah, I took this many years ago. I don't think this is part of the Alcatraz tour anymore, but I kind of like the colors and
Yeah.
there was so much going on with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
You might consider actually seeing if you can't add a little bit of a grunge texture to it and a little bit more contrast to bring out texture, because I think you got some wonderful texture here that I think would really enrich the whole presentation. So you might take it back and try adding grunge textures and maybe adding a little bit more contrast to it and see if you like where that may bring it.
Yeah, I'll try that. Sounds like Nancy's type of style. Thank you.
Very good. Nature, basic plus intermediate, 2 images. Second place, Helen.
That's not a horse. And it's not a goat.
It's a striped horse.
There you go.
South Africa. Wow.
Congratulations. First place,
Oh,
Fritz.
Fritz. Oh, and Fritz isn't there.
Is that
that's
their
an
garden?
explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And a history lesson. That's nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Fritz. Nature Masters, 3 images. Third place,
Ooh.
Bill.
Oh,
Thank you.
So cool.
nice, Bill.
And when I first saw this and took the picture, I thought those huge claws going to grab the crab. Because he went by very quickly. And then after reading up on it, I realized that the iguanas are completely vegetarian. They don't eat crabs. They use them strictly to hold on to things. Yeah, when they're underwater and when they're on the rocks. So that was what prompted me to come up with this title.
Great.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Such a colorful crab.
Yeah.
So
Just
a little bit of
nasty.
fun natural history about those iguanas, because they take in so much salt from all the seaweed that they eat.
Right.
They have to expel it, and they do it by sneezing it out.
Ah, did it get you once?
You
I want to
can,
see it.
you can see it here just a little bit. There's some white crust on his face, but most of them are just completely covered with salt all over the face.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
A beautiful image.
Yeah.
Thank
Really
you.
cool. Wow.
Congratulations. Second place, Tamara.
Yeah.
Whoa. Look at those horns,
Yeah.
Jeez.
What a life she leads.
Mhm.
Or not.
Congratulations to Tamara. First place.
Mm.
Cindy.
Yay.
Very nice.
Little
Beautiful.
circle.
Beautiful light.
Beautiful
Yeah.
animal.
Gorgeous. Oh, gosh. Their head is tiny in comparison to
Yeah.
their body.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Big ears.
I really appreciated seeing this because I have a friend who has the hybrid serval that they sell, very expensive and a lot of work to maintain because you've got to give them the right kind of food and keep them entertained. But they do mix serval cats with domesticated cats.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
And so it was really interesting for me to see what how the spots on her cats met, fit.
Oh,
Yeah.
How big are these cats?
They're bigger than a house cat, but they're not huge.
Okay.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Pictorial, basic plus intermediate. 4 images, honorable
Oh.
mention.
Oh
Fritz.
man, this is great.
So
Fritz,
awesome.
this is one of my favorites. This is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Lots
I
of
wish I'd
fun.
taken that. I want to go see it.
Congratulations to Fritz. Third place,
Mm.
Teresa.
That's beautiful.
Is she here tonight?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Good suggestions though on that,
Yeah.
fixing it up.
Mm-hmm.
We're just
Congratulations to Teresa. Second place, Teresa again.
Whoa.
Has anybody else ever been to where this is?
It's Alamere Falls. It's the Upper Falls in Point Reyes.
oh, never seen this.
Is it
And
like hiking to get to?
yeah, actually it does.
Actually, what?
Well, the direct route, rangers keep closing it because people get injured on it. So you can start at Palamarin trailhead in Bolinas, and then you have to hike all the way to Wildcat Campground and then go on the beach. And you have to watch the tides because you can not get
Ugh.
back.
Wow.
But
That's
people take the shortcut, but it's not safe.
Oh,
And it doesn't flow all year long either.
No, Yeah.
Gorgeous. What a great
That's
place.
really pretty.
deserty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fun to see.
Congratulations to Teresa. First place,
I love
Helen.
this.
Oh,
I
Helen.
love this. I couldn't
Helen.
love this
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I want to go there.
Mhm. Yeah,
exactly.
now
Could
stat.
I sit in those chairs, please?
For the next few years, maybe.
Yeah.
Where is it, Helen?
It's in Kauai. It's when I got married.
Uh-huh.
I just
I'm going there in October.
yeah, I just liked it. So yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'm in love with your title.
Mhm.
Ah, thank you.
Mhm.
Front row to forever. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
really neat.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave. I could just sit there like forever, just watch the.
So what beach is this at?
I'm trying to remember. It's not far from when we landed at the airport. I think it was near a restaurant that we went to called Lava Lava.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Fabulous.
Bill and I just celebrated our 35th there this year.
Oh my!
Awesome.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Not there, but in Kauai.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pictorial Advance, 2 images. Second place,
Mm. Mm.
Tricia.
Yay.
But I
So
guess
cool.
that.
This was part of Photoclave when we went to the Elkhorn Slough. And I saw there was tons of these reflections in the water that I just loved. And this is one of them. So thanks.
Yeah, it's
Fabulous.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow.
Love
Looks
the
like
colors.
looks like a portfolio to me.
Isn't it?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Congratulations. First place,
Hmm.
Amy.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
really pretty.
Thank you. That was just such a magical night and a magical place. It was so great taking that shot. So thank you.
gorgeous.
regarding the angle, because I see the angle, but then I saw the light reflections. They look straight vertical.
They do, huh?
Yeah.
So I would think that means that even though the perception is, which is what matters a lot, but that tells me that you were level.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Any
I think
other thoughts on that? Do you see what I mean?
I can see what you mean.
dead
Yeah.
perpendicular to me.
I think
Both,
I
both
was
and. Yeah.
because the horizon is kind of level, and I think the beach was coming towards me at an angle. So it wasn't like, not that it was not level, but it's just it's coming in. So it gives the impression that it's, off kilter.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on the water line in the front, but on the area where
The
the water
horizon line.
meets the horizon line.
Okay.
And Nancy's absolutely right, but she said something very key, and that's perception.
Yeah.
And so here, I think if you straighten that, yeah, the very, very subtle things might not be absolutely straight, but they're going to be small, and it's going to give you a better perception of the whole image as a whole.
Mhm.
So sometimes, and horizon lines are tough. You have to decide what you want to do relative to that.
Yeah.
Which element do you want to make your horizon? There's several different things. And instead of me at saying absolutely this element has to be straight, I ask myself the question, if I straighten this, would I have a better perception of the image as a whole?
So
So
I'm always looking for solutions for that, is you might straighten it for the perception and then go back and with a layer, put it back
Mhm.
perpendicular to the bottom at the new
light.
perpendicular, the light. In fact, there's actually a few light things you might have to work on, but if
Yeah.
you say print it on metal or something like that, and you really want to put something into it, I think you could kind of have the both worlds.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm not
And
sure
my
I follow.
sense of
I'm
in
not.
looking at the line of things, down in the water, I think if you just drew a line with a straightening tool, you might get it to move just a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I could do that, or I could just actually, since it's pictorial, I could just fill in that
Yeah.
space a little bit, just to make it look more level.
True.
It's gorgeous though. Wow.
Very
Mhm.
pretty.
Yeah.
Got to get there.
Yeah, what a shot.
Congratulations. Pictorial Masters, 3 images. Third place,
Oh,
Liz.
thank you.
Oh,
I
nice.
was at the Petaluma Butter and Eggs Parade day.
Oh.
Those bubbles were all over the place. It was fun.
They're everywhere.
Nice.
Oh, it's cute little thing.
Hmm.
Congratulations. Second place, Linda.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. That I think bringing down, getting rid of some of that dark top on the sky would be really good. But would that put the mountain more in the middle? You know, that was what I was afraid to pull it down. If I took the top down, would that make it? No, I like it better without quite so much sky up at the top. Yeah, thank
I
you.
don't think it would matter whether
Uh-huh.
your peak line was centered by
Okay.
bringing down the top at all. Don't get hung up on these rules, because
Oh,
I still
thanks.
think it would look really nice,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it would be appropriate for that image that was in the middle. That would be fine.
Oh, cool. Great. Thank you. I'll do that.
Congratulations.
It's
First
beautiful.
place,
Yay.
Jennifer.
That's gorgeous.
Thought that was a Jennifer.
Yeah, I love that one.
Undulation. Really great.
Congratulations to Jennifer. Travel, basic plus intermediate, 2 images. Second place, Stephen.
Mm.
On his iPhone.
Striking.
I
Temple.
don't know where this image belongs, but it sure is powerful.
It
Mhm.
is.
Creative, maybe.
Monochrome.
Or
Monochrome,
monochrome. Yeah,
very-
monochrome. I
ah,
think it would do well.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that,
it's
But it got second place,
so
so
it did well here.
Yeah,
it
it did.
Gorgeous.
it's really interesting perspective.
Congratulations to Stephen. First place,
Mm,
Mm.
Fritz.
Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
Fritz.
Geez, yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
Oof.
Mhm.
Can you imagine looking through that? Oh,
Amazing.
Doesn't
he
look
was
real.
there.
The colors.
Yeah.
I think to me it makes me want to touch those blue bubbles. Those
Oh,
eyes.
absolutely.
Touch it. Hmm.
Yeah, see what it
And I
feels
love
like.
the two people, the little tiny people.
Mhm.
They're good perspective.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Now that horizon looks tilted, but
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the
I'm
people
gonna-
are
It's kind
straight.
of, it's probably mountainous, you know?
The
True.
context of the picture, it looks just fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, because look at the bottom part of the ice cave is fairly straight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the people,
exactly.
the people are standing upright.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't get hung up that everything has to be perfectly straight
They-
as much as ask yourself the question is if I change something slightly, would it make it feel better?
Yeah.
And so I see so many people argue over this horizon line versus that horizon line or this or that. And
Mhm.
ultimately, I'll ask the question, if you do that, does it feel better to you?
Hmm.
And I think that's because not every image is, I mean, there's no straight horizon line at all in this image. You got a
Yeah.
horizon line going one way and another. So what's the important parts? Well, what makes you feel that way?
Good point.
Great image.
Mhm.
Congratulations to Fritz.
Yeah.
Travel Advance, 3 images. Third place,
Mm.
Amy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I love Fez Morocco so much. It was like the most amazing place to be and to photograph. And most of my stuff didn't come out that well, so I kind of regret it. But I wish I could go back and do it all over again. So can't imagine walking on that,
I know.
balancing on that.
I'd be in one of those holes.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the story too, is
Yeah.
just these people working in this type of environment. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love it.
Very nice.
Makes me want to go there, which I think is great in travel.
Looks like
Yeah.
it's very hot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Congratulations. Second place,
Oh,
Ellen.
Yeah, that's really
Nice,
cool.
Ellen.
Oh,
Nice-
thank you.
Nice perspective.
I loved this place. Yeah, I got tons of photos. I made one into a Christmas card. It's Christmassy. um, yeah, and I guess I could be more descriptive in my title for travel. I agree.
gorgeous.
Well,
though.
the reason I mentioned that is it's obvious from the image that roof really is part of your story. And so to pull in your caption with the obvious emphasis of the image is what I felt was a little bit lacking here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's only second place.
Congratulations. First place, Ronnie.
Hmm.
It's not a tulip. I'm surprised.
There's no tulips. Yeah. We're waiting for the tulips. That's so cool. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's a
She
beautiful
really took
image.
she took advantage of a flower trip, but doing other stuff as well. That's nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Ronnie. Travel Masters, 3 images. 3rd place. Linda.
Those
Oh.
trees are just amazing.
Yeah, I
That
love this one.
was interesting. I thought I'd put it in a different category. Because of the trees, it all looks so prehistoric.
Yeah.
The trees are what really grabbed me.
Yeah.
In this one, it's like out of the Pleistocene or something. But you're right, it looks like it could be here except for those trees,
Congratulations. 2nd place. Linda again.
Oh, thank you. And I have pictures where it's so much more of the pancake rocks, like this stack of pancakes. It was the most amazing place to walk through. And I have a tendency to take too much scenery when I'm interested in just some geological aspect of it or something. Thank you for the comments.
Congratulations. 1st place. Bill.
Thank you.
That's cool.
I worked on the title quite a while. In fact, this is the second time I've submitted this image. A couple of years ago, I submitted it. I always liked it, but I didn't do a very good job of explaining what was going on. And so I probably spent days on the title.
I was going to ask if you had submitted this before because it looked familiar, but I still think it's a very powerful shot.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
I like the balance of the colors in the boy's shirt and bike, and then the colors on the right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Beautiful shot.
Is that vehicle coming or going?
It's coming. Such a remote location. It's just a family of probably 5 people nearby in a gare, and was lucky that he came by to probably
Getting
just
on
see us.
with his colorful shirt and his colorful bike.
His bike, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
And for the best image of the evening goes to
Drum roll.
Oh my
gosh.
Fantastic.
Great shot.
Fritz is not here to enjoy it. It's
Too
fabulous.
bad.
Where are they traveling
Good
right
job,
now?
Fritz.
Yeah, are they traveling?
Do that or grandkids, right?
They have grandkids, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really lovely. Jeez.
Well deserved.
Amazing.
I love travel images that make you want to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Hey, does anybody have any questions for me or comments they want to make? I'm available for that since you can't hit me with tomatoes.
Good job, Charlie.
Oh,
Yeah, good
Yeah,
job.
good job.
you had wonderful
Excellent.
Thank
comments
you.
about everything.
Oh,
Just
very useful.
really learned a lot.
I really agreed with your comments for the
Yeah.
most part.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I don't always agree with judges' comments as well, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
When I'm in your place and they say something about an image or my image, I don't always agree. But and whether you agree with me or not, it's not important. I just hope you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying and what I'm trying to communicate, so you can think about it and decide if it's appropriate for how you want to do your photography.
Yeah. No, really, really helpful.
Yeah.
That's why we do this.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Forrest, is it too early to ask if this seems like it would work for you? And I mean, did this give you an idea of how you can, you wanted to improve your photography?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like I'd enjoy this because one, I like being able to get feedback on my stuff. I mean, again, I've mentioned most of my stuff is wildflowers, landscapes, animals when they decide to not immediately move as soon as I get the camera on them. Yeah, you want to take pictures of something like a raven. They tend to not move around so much. You want a passerine bird, that those little just constantly. And let's also I don't know how many of you have ever looked at some of our wildflowers when we've got the little sweat bees in them. That's kind of been my thing lately is getting our little
Sweat
native
bees.
sweat bees on flowers.
Cool.
People go to bees, blooms and bees. What's it?
Bees
Yeah,
and
bees
blooms.
and
Yeah.
Blooms, and they get wonderful, really unusual sometimes insects on beautiful macros of flowers. Have you heard of that location?
I've not.
Yeah, was it in Santa Rosa?
It's
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
Petaluma Hill Road, I think.
yeah, Petaluma Hill Road.
Petaluma
Yeah.
Hill Road. Yeah.
But
But
they realize I do a lot of macro photography, and one of my favorite subjects are flowers as well. And yet, those are not easy shots to get.
No.
And they take a lot of work, both in trying to get your depth of field, your composition, your exposure, and they often take a fair amount of editing after the fact to
Yeah.
because I'm always trying to de-emphasize certain areas to bring the bloom out, showing different things. And even while I'm shooting, I may go, I really don't like that hot spot, or I really don't like, that thing there, but there's no way I can't do anything else with it, so I'm gonna have to deal with it in post. Other thing, often, if you have a complex bloom and you have a whole series of different leaves associated with it, some which are in the foreground, some which are in the midground, some are in the background. How can you get everything sharp yet still differentiate to give you a sense of dimension? And so, yeah, I do a lot of different types of shots there, and I've given several talks on flower photography. And it's not a just sit down, point, and shoot. It's a lot of work that goes into that to really make them special. And I'll say flower photography is one types of photography that a lot of people do, and yet a lot of people are most dissatisfied with because it just doesn't have the impact that I saw there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all those subtleties. So good for going with those. But if they start looking a little flat or a little blah, you're in the same. That's not a normal. And it there's a lot more involved with that, and I'd be happy to walk you through some of that sometime if you want. Bill has my email address. Next show, but that's sort of a lost art. And
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, the thing is, again, as I mentioned when I got in, I'm from academia, so most of what I've been doing up until this point has been diagnostic shots of flowers, or I mean, you've been
documenting.
Yeah, I've been documenting. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of or worked with something called a scanning electron microscope.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an incredibly weird and just fantastic instrument, because at the scale that you're working at with a SEM, the waves of light are too big. You have to use a beam of electrons to generate an image.
Over my head.
I know, but interesting.
I mean, unless you're looking at like plant spores, which is what I was looking at, you probably don't really need to be using SEM.
I hear two really interesting programs here. I
Yeah.
hear Forrest giving us one on this because it
There you
sounds
go.
fascinating. And I hear Charlie, if he does a presentation on his suggestions and work on macro,
That'd be good.
that's also Linda,
Mhm.
Liz.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Forrest
that would
might
be
be interested.
awesome.
So what, like I have a whole series of shots where I spent a fair amount of time shooting salt crystals. Where I just took table salt and put it on a piece of back glass, and then really went to town with magnification and such that I have an image where there's maybe 15 little cubes, and there's your salt crystals. But what it takes to get those,
Yeah.
with the higher magnification, the lower your depth of field. And so there are all sorts of different techniques that just makes it fun. Just makes it fun to do, to see. As I said, someone asked me a while ago what my style was, and I realized after a while that my style in photography is I love to show the commonplace in uncommon ways.
Yeah.
So if I can show you a clover bloom in such a way that when you look at it, you put your nose right up against it going, wow, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Exactly.
Peppercorns, poppy seeds. You'd be surprised the wonderful detail and color you get in those things. They're things you see all the time, but you don't see them the way I'm showing to you. And so that's
really cool.
That's I found macro to be a way of expressing that, but that's just one of the things. Yeah, and Forrest, my background is I was a biochemist, so I have a little bit more of the scientific bent to it, but still I have just fun playing with it.
Yeah.
If you're interested in me doing a program,
yeah,
I'd contact me. I'd be happy to do that. I do that quite often.
nice.
July. We need something in July. We need a program in July.
Yeah, are you available in July? Fourth Thursday.
Yeah. Well, give me an email quick and we'll talk.
Okay.
Okay. We'll blast one off to you. So I need your email.
Any other questions or comments?
You did a great job, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
Appreciated all
Always.
your
Thank you.
feedback.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
you you helping us out.
Oh, I enjoy discussing the field and talking about things. And to me, it's not a matter of who's right or wrong. It's the conversation we have, which then it allows us to see things slightly differently, or to get new ideas, and and how we might apply them in our work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so easy to get pigeonholed. It's so easy to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. And so if I have somebody that challenges me and forces me to have that discussion, then to me, that's the fun part. That's the learning and that's the enjoyment.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, y'all.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you
Being
so
here.
much
Good
for
night.
helping us.
Good to see you again.
Bill and Amy, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so